You can bring them here. Hey, hello to everyone. It's Sacred Para. Hope you guys are having an amazing Monday. It's bright early in the morning. It's 6 o'clock. Some of you guys may end up logging on, and I appreciate it if you do. If you don't, I understand it's early here. It could be later in other parts of the world. So if you log on, I thank you so much. But if not and you're sleeping, I appreciate it nonetheless. Whenever you do watch it, if you notice, I got my little buddy here. Thank you. His sister just brought him to me. Yeah. How are you doing? So I guess we'll do the live together.
Okay.
Oh, he's got a package. So this is going to be a short live because he does have a package. So I got to change the package, huh? All right. So let me just give you guys a few little updates before we chat about storyline. Yeah, we're going to talk. So some life updates. One, I went to a memorial service with actually a friend of mine. Her dad passed away. And this was literally like my childhood best friend. We've been knowing each other since second grade. And, you know, we have life that happens and then we'll kind of have to experience life and then we touch base again and things kind of pick up like it never did stop. Hi, Ash Harbor. How you doing, Mandy? Thank you so much for joining. So, she's adopted in my family. I'm adopted in her family. And her dad had, passed away. And they had a celebration of life for him. And it was so beautiful. So beautiful. He loved hunting and he loved fishing. And he wanted his ashes to be scattered into the river. Good morning. Good morning. And so they put him in the river. He said that he wanted to be in the water because the water's always moving. And they went in kayaks and were able to, release him there. I didn't get you to stay for the part with the kayaks, but just the celebration that they had was just so beautiful. So many people showed up. He was a very kind man, just really quiet, gentle, had his own sense of humor. And for me, I was able to experience what it was like to have a dad be involved in your life because I was raised single parent. I didn't have my dad involved. And so I got a chance to see up close and personal what it was like to have this loving and tender relationship with your dad. And they, she and her dad were only together growing up. She grew up with her dad. And so, we just kind of were like a mirror effect. And so I got a chance to see them being together and watch them grow up together. So it was, and I kind of kicked myself because I didn't get a chance to, experience the end portion, get a chance to be there with them. But I'm so thankful that she contacted me and considered involving me so that I could also be a part of the send-off. So that was an important part of my Saturday. And then, I just spent time with family throughout the weekend. And then I, of course, had to postpone the wedding of Penelope and Lawrence. Yeah, we had to cancel it. Not really, it's not canceled. It's postponed, not canceled. Yeah. And quite honestly, it boils down to this. My storyline is still kind of in the middle section. And I had plans of listing it. I was like, I'm just going to put out posts all day Saturday and all day Sunday. And it didn't happen like that. Life happened. And I just wanted to kind of, take it easy on myself and take it easy on my schedule and not rush my storyline. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to postpone it. Plus, on top of that, there's some things that still needs to be handled. I had made some bridals, bridesmaid dresses. And I was just like, I don't really like this. This feels more maybe like for Halloween and not wedding. And I happened to, when I was looking for clothes for the service, I found some orange satin and I was like, perfect. So now I'm remaking bridesmaid dresses. So that's why I'm like, I got to make sure all the components are perfect. That's okay. I'm glad your weekend went good. Yes, life happens. You're so right. Life happens. So I was like, maybe about 2 more weeks. I feel like the dresses will be done and whatever other elements. Because planning a doll wedding, as many of us know, is literally like planning a wedding. Even if you're doing like courthouse style, it still takes a lot of elements to make it happen, because unlike humans who dress themselves, we have to dress these dolls. So that takes up time and setting up all the food and, you know, all that stuff. So give me about 2 more weeks. I'll send out another flyer, let everybody know. But that's what happened right there. So, oh, he's saying hi. There you go. Say hi. Hi to the world. Hello. Hello. We've been talking about cutting his hair. I don't want to cut his hair, though, because it keeps him in his baby mode. He cuts his hair, he's going to look like a toddler. We're not ready for toddler. No, we're not. We're not ready for toddler. This is the baby brother. Number 10 brother. We're trying to keep you a baby a little bit longer. Okay. Now, we talked about those 2 things, life updates and weekend. Oh, thank you. Oh, she said he's so beautiful. He is. You're a handsome little bugger. Yes, you are. Oh. Say hi. Oh, hi, husband. Hello, husband. Oh, you see Daddy? Daddy just got here. All right, so let's talk about how to make your audience. Yes, with the fists. We're talking with our hands. How to make your audience feel bad for a bad character, or how to make them empathize for a bad guy character. On my way home. Oh, wait, cool. Awesome. He is coming home from training his client, and I'm so excited. So, yes, how to make your audience empathize with a bad guy character. So many of us have watched movies, read books where you have a distinct bad guy character, like an a-hole, you know. You have some a-hole characters where you're like, I hope you get yours, and they get it, and you're like, good, because you were so horrible. Like, I've been waiting. Like, they were just like a Chucky doll almost, and you just couldn't wait for them to get smashed and crushed and demolished. But then you have other characters, and they're bad guy characters, and they're doing things on a strategic level in order to get what they want. And then something bad happens to them, and they get hurt in the process, or they get left alone, you know, like isolated by themselves, and then all these different fears that they have comes up, and you find yourself like, oh, like they were so horrible, but yet I don't want them to feel like this. I've actually recently experienced that in reading at Panic Pixie Doll's story. I'm trying to make sure there's no underscore. I don't think there's an underscore. At Panic Pixie Dolls. She has a character named Karen. And Karen is literally like a snake character. If you've been keeping up with her storyline, then you know she can be a snake. But Karen is now dealing with people kind of like not wanting to talk to her. She's losing out on friends. She's not very popular right now. And she's feeling the effect of it, and she's gotten her feelings like ultra hurt. I mean, she screwed some people over in that storyline. But yet, seeing her get her feelings hurt actually made many of us empathize. It's like, should I be feeling sorry for her right now? Because she's such a horrible person. But yet, you know, her character is so horrible, but yet we find ourselves empathizing with her. Another one that I can think of is at _doll_stories. I do believe I got that right, but it's at _doll_stories. And she has a character named Sharon. Sharon is definitely a bad guy character. But there was a scene where Sharon got abducted and was about to be attacked, possibly killed. And many of us were like, oh no! Don't let anything bad happen to her. We hope that like her FBI, you know, skills kick in and she's able to survive this. Even though her character is literally a quote unquote bad guy character. Yes, hello. She really, really is. So how do you create characters that your audience empathizes with? I would really say that it involves several key elements. And some of those key elements are character development, character design, and the layering of characters. So we talk about layering. I've talked about it previously in other lives. I always go with the Shrek movie because I feel like that's the best explanation of layering. You have Shrek, you have Donkey, and they're talking. And Shrek is like, ogres have layers. You know, he's one of them. No, I think he said that ogres were like onions, right? He's like, ogres are like onions. And so Donkey's like, what do you mean? They stink? And he's like, you know, asking all these different questions. And he's like, no, we have layers. And he's like, well, why wouldn't you say parfaits? Who doesn't like a parfait? It's sweet, it's this and that. And what you really do see is that that Shrek the ogre had more of an onion personality in the very beginning and throughout the other movies. He still carried the onion personality, and we grew to love him and his onionness. And then you have Donkey, who literally has a parfait personality. They both were layered but different. They were both layered different. But it was so awesome that they put that concept, especially for us who are writers and creators, to be able to get that nugget of character development. It requires layers. When I talked about Karen, when I talked about the other character Sharon from the two accounts of Panic Pixie Dolls and at Doll Stories, when I talk about that, those characters have layers. They have such intricate layers where you find yourself as the audience empathizing with them, despite the fact that they have been controlling, abusive, toxic characters. But then they go through a trial or situation or a situation of fear, and we're like, oh no, this is horrible. We don't want anything bad to happen to them. One, because it shows how good-natured that we are. And then two, it also goes to show that that character is well-developed to the point where we find ourselves empathizing with their trials and situation. We don't want them to go through more suffering than what they already, although a lot of it is, you know, you reap what you sow, or karma. Nonetheless, we still have an issue with seeing individuals go through karma. Unless, of course, your name is Jonah. And that's a Bible story for you. Because Jonah did not have a problem at all seeing the people of Nineveh go through problems. In fact, he was mad. Wait a minute. He was mad because God offered grace in Nineveh. He was like, wait a minute. I knew you were going to be merciful, and I hate this. Like, he was peeved off for real. So if you want to talk about anybody who doesn't feel bad for bad guy characters, is someone like Jonah, or if you have a personality of Jonah, or you know someone like Jonah, those personalities don't feel bad because they're like, listen, it's karma, you deserve it. That was Jonah for you. I just want to put that in there. But for other audience members who are not aligned with the personality of Jonah, we empathize whenever people or characters are going through struggles, despite if they earned those struggles. So how do you get your audience, the majority of your audience who are not aligned with the personality of Jonah, how do you get those audience members to empathize with your characters? So let's talk about real quick the definition of character. Like I said, it's not going to be real long. I know because he has a little stinky booty. I got to change up. All right, so character. Character is the mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual. So if you're wondering, what is character? Your characters are literally the mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual. When we talk about character development, and I'm going to give you guys the, what do you call it? The www. The website I got it from. This comes from blog.reedsy.com, and it's reedsy.com. Character development is the process an author undergoes to build multi-dimensional characters with personality, backstory, goals, and strengths and weaknesses. Can y'all go help Daddy? Hold on real quick. I'm going to unlock this door. Junior. So my husband has equipment that they got to bring in. Okay. So character development is the process an author undergoes to build multi-dimensional, I love that word, multi-dimensional characters with personality, backstory, goals, and strengths and weaknesses. And anyone who has a bad guy character knows that bad guy characters are filled with goals. They have goals that they're going to, commit to and get done, more so than even the good guy character does. Sometimes the good guy character, the protagonist is just kind of going along with the flow of what's going on, whereas the antagonist is like, they're very strategic. They got their goals and they're going to hit it. And they don't really care who gets hurt in the process. Generally, it includes a clear character arc where the protagonist will change throughout the story's journey. So the protagonist's personality can change. Different things can affect them to change who they are. So an example of this would be, hey, honey, how are you? No problem. Mwah.
Love you, baby.
Love you too. See, he's happy. Everything went good?
Everything went good.
Good.
Yeah, he did good.
Good. I just got for yoga chat time over here with Sacred Para.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no problem. I love all this. Thank you, Ash Harvard. So, you may have a character that starts off, he is a little sneaky.
Okay.
Patootie. I was going to change them after the line.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it looked like it went through. That's the joys of parenthood. Yes. It went through. Can somebody get wipes? We got 2 kids upstairs, too, that are up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I go.
So, it looks like it's going to be an early day. Yay. Yay. Lots of people are up today. Okay. Okay. So you can have a character that's sweet, optimistic in nature, and then they go through life situations and they can become jaded, cruel, and non-trusting. So that's kind of where you can see your protagonist change throughout the story. And you can just kind of think of your possibly your own life. I think of my own life, how I started off as a really jovial kind of kid, just really, really happy, happy-go-lucky. And then things in life happen and, find out different stuff about people and friends that weren't friends and, go through situations with family members and go through different situations with relationships, go through different situations even with myself. And then I'm like, I don't really know if I can trust the same. I don't really know if I feel the same right here. How do we know that this is going to end up good? I don't really know if I still feel hopeful. And so now my personality has been influenced by the trials of life. And now I have a problem maybe trusting people. And so that's something that I would want to incorporate into a character. But then maybe that character, has some enlightenment that takes place, or religious enlightenment, or I should say spiritual enlightenment. There we go. A spiritual enlightenment, or they meet someone who just creates a transformation in their life and makes them think of things differently. And they're like, oh my God, things are just so great. And I see the wonders of how human nature can be and that I can trust and love again. And so once they have that kind of revelation, their story, their character arc changes. Hey, sir, do you mind getting the clothes for Malcolm? Thank you. Okay, so when I gave this as an example, my mind, because I think Bible stories constantly. My dad was a minister, and I just believe that in the blood, although I didn't get a chance to spend a lot of physical time with my dad, when I would talk to him, he would always pray and, talk to me about God and send me, sermons, and he was an educator, he was a teacher. So whenever I sent him paperwork, like different stories I had that I was really, really proud of, guys, I was like, yes, I wrote this story. And I would send it to my dad and he would mail it back to me because he lived in Detroit. He would mail it back to me with corrections and red marker. And I was like, it's like, I have a teacher of teachers already. I wanted you to read it. And I didn't realize at the time he was reading it. And that's why he was making corrections. And it has helped me a whole lot. Look, I'm talking to you guys about story. And so maybe if I hadn't had him be that, that stern on having me to push myself and perfect my writing and not just have it be acceptable, but really to perfect it, I don't know if I would be where I'm at as far as now talking to you guys. And yes, I'm sitting on my feet, just allowing myself to be more relaxed. So I think Bible stories a lot. I read the Bible. That's what I do. I love the Lord. So when I think of stories, I think of parables. I think of characters in the Bible. And when I thought of the story arc and how the storyline itself can transform, change the protagonist, I immediately thought of Naomi. And that's in the book of Ruth. And I'm not going to do like this long Bible study journey with you, not unless you want it. But Ruth, not Ruth, but Ruth is supposed to be the protagonist, right? She's the main character. The whole book is named after her. But you have Naomi, who really sets the tone of that storyline. In the book of Ruth, you have Naomi, who's her mother-in-law, and her life literally changes due to the trials that she goes through. You have an idea of who she is in the very, very beginning, the initial part of that particular Bible story, of who she was before her family members died. Then 2, she has to experience the death of her family members, her husband, all of her sons die. And anyone who's ever experienced death, especially the death of a loved one, especially the death that is tragic of loved ones, like just sudden, there is no health complications that created like a long span of time where you kind of knew. And don't get me wrong, because I believe that's just as tragic. I had a really good friend of mine who died of cancer. He was a best friend of mine, and although we knew about the cancer, and I visited him several times when he was in the hospital, like that was a part of my routine to go and spend time with him. It had been an ongoing process. When he died, it still felt sudden. On the other hand, if you have someone who dies in war or a car accident or just something where it's just immediate, heart attack, your mind can already go there for some, things that are just sudden. It just takes you like, oh my God. And then her sons who are younger than her, and she's expecting gravity to take place where she goes before her kids and her kids go before her. I imagine it just totally changed her whole life. It changed her perspective of what life was. It was just sudden. It wasn't something that she had planned. So she tells her daughters-in-law, she's like, listen, you guys go your own way, find your own husbands. There's no way I can have any kids again, especially ones that would be old enough to marry you. You need to go, find your own husbands. I think like Orpha was like, okay, fine, see ya. But then you had Ruth who was like, I'm staying. Your God is my God. I'm following you wherever you go. And she goes with her, and that leads into the third portion of Naomi's life, because now she's becoming a mentor, not just a mother-in-law, but a mentor to Ruth. And she has to do that through her bitterness, because she even renamed herself. It begins with the M. I can't really think of it right now, but she renamed herself to mean bitter. She's like, because God took everything from me. And that would be her third portion of life. She went back to her homeland. She's a mentor to her. And then in that process, she advises and teaches Ruth how to get a suitor. And Ruth gets a suitor who's still within the same clan, the same tribe, the same family as Naomi. They get married. They have a kid. It was Boaz, in fact, who she married. They have a kid together. And then this becomes the grandchild of Ruth. And then Ruth reclaims her joy, the fourth portion of her life. So her being a grandmother, right? So you have her before the death, the mentor, goes back to her homeland. It's actually the fifth portion of her life where she becomes a grandmother, and then she reclaims her joy again. So we want to think, even if, and quite honestly, even if you're not a Bible scholar, you don't really get into the Bible, I would advise anyone, no matter what your faith is, you don't believe in faith, an atheist, whatever, agnostic, whatever you may, categorize yourself as, I would still advise you to read the Bible, because there are amazing and awesome storyline arcs and storyline designs and character developments and character designs that would just blow your mind. I remember the first time my dad told me about reading the Bible, and he was advising me to during one of our visits when I went to Detroit. And he was like, you need to read the Bible. And I was like, no, I already do a lot of reading. And I did do a lot of reading. And I was like, the Bible says to me, I was like, this is so cheeky and corny. I'll be honest, like in my mind, I was like, it's just cheeky and corny. I don't want to read it. He was like, well, what do you read? I was like, I read romance novels and I read books about violence and action. You're fine. And he's like, all of that is in the Bible. And honestly, all of that is in the Bible. And I really didn't think that it was. So my initial reaction was like, I'm not going to read it. But then when I read it, I was like, oh my God, this is in there. This is in there. This is in there. So it just really helped develop me as a writer. So I would say, regardless of what your religious perspectives are or spiritual aspirations are, read it, because you could get so much information. You never do know. You may end up changing your life spiritually. You may end up having a spiritual transformation. So I'm going to throw that out there. I know I feel I've grown as a writer a lot. I agree with you. I'm witnessing every day my development as a writer, especially being able to do these lives and then talking to you guys and reading your storyline. And I saw that you have some new posts. Hey, everybody, check out Ash Harbor Story. If you haven't, she's got some new posts out there if you haven't checked it out. And it involves Asher and Shelby. I saw the pictures. I was like, okay, I got to wait till I sit down. I can really dive in and just digest everything that's going on next in their storyline. Those two right there, I enjoy all the couples. I love Charlie. I love them all. But Shelby and Asher, I just have a special place for me. So I want to see what's going to happen next in their story. So check it out if you haven't, guys. And we're talking about story arcs and everything else right there as well. Okay, I couldn't really say that you have a bad guy character, because all the characters have flaws and they're trying to overcome those flaws, and that's really what I see, especially with Asher. But that's a whole nother conversation outside of this one. Yes, get your tissues. Okay, I got you. I'm gonna be getting my tissues out while reading that one. Character design. In visual arts, a model sheet, also known as a character board or character sheet or character study or simple study, is a document used to help standardize the appearance, poses, and gestures of a character in art, such as animation, comics, video games, and of course what we do with our doll stories, right? So being able to have character design will help us with the appearance of our characters, as far as if we're going to customize them or keep them the same as Mattel has them, or cut their hair, or whatever the case is. Even if we keep them the same as Mattel has them, we still will end up probably changing the clothes. Oh, this earring came off. Oh well, that's okay. But we may end up changing their clothes, and one of them may have more of a gothic style, and one has, sunflower dresses, and one dresses with leather. So that's something else that goes into character design. The way that they pose, their gestures. Do they have shy poses? Do they pose in a way that shows that they're shy? Do they pose in a way that exhibits confidence? Do they play with their fingers? Do they put their hand to the back and kind of stand like this? I noticed while watching Star Trek one day that Zoe Salanda's character, who was she on Star Wars or Star Trek? Zoe Salanda?
She was
Uhura. So as Uhura, in the very first show, I want to say that Captain Kirk and what's his name? They got into it. Spock. I should remember Spock. Got into it, and I saw her stand just like this. And I wondered, I said, was that part of the story, or was she just, that was her natural stand? So posing is so important, because it says a whole lot about the individual as a character. You want to make sure that you're aware of how you're posing them. Are they just always relaxed and kind of slumpy? And you almost want to think Sims on this. When I create a character on Sims, I don't just create the appearance and look. I then have to, how do they walk? Do they walk with confidence? Do they walk sluggish? That's important for the whole design of them as a character. How do they talk? Do they talk really, really chippery, noise, really happy? Or do they talk really slow and just kind of let things be? Are they snooty? Oh yeah, they have their nose up in the air. Maybe they're really, really snooty, and they used to come from a whole lot of money, right? And so they have this act, but yet, the reality is that they're quite struggling, and they're trying to figure out, how do I still maintain this appearance? It's just an idea. But I'm just saying that's part of the character design. Their gestures, their poses, the way that they look. This also involves silhouette, palette, and exaggeration. Those are the three fundamental components of good character design. And while there are plenty of details a character designer must consider, these three elements are often at the core of what makes a character design memorable or completely forgotten: silhouette, palette, and exaggeration. The way that they look. Hi, Barbie Blue Sweden. And this information comes from www.studiobinder.com. And I got one more for you. When we talk about layering, in other words, and this is character layering. Layering means that we're wearing in different elements of our story. I'm sorry, we're weaving. I couldn't even read my own writing. And we're weaving in different elements of the story, the characters, the writing craft, etc. And some writers even start with just one element, such as writing their whole story just as dialogue, and then they layer everything else in once they have the shape of the story. And that comes from jamiegold.com, and then from Mythcreants, mythcreants.com. You have 5 different tips. Choose conflicting values. Number 2, decide how they see the world. Number 3, play on a fear. Everybody has some type of fear, especially your bad guys. I've noticed that bad guy characters actually have more fear a lot of times than what the protagonist does. 4, decide on what they learn. Do they learn anything from the situation? And number 5, create a defining moment. So how do I get my audience to really empathize and grieve with my bad guy character? Make them human. Hello again. Make them human. Make them flawed. Make them have fears. When I talk about the character Karen, who's in Panic Pixie Doll storyline, she's a horrible character. Really reminds me of Iago in the Othello play. She's done a great job with it. And she and I have connected on Shakespeare so much. I've told my husband before, I'm like, if Shakespeare would have been alive, it would have been a run for his money. Isn't that right? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I've always loved Shakespeare, but my husband's won my heart, so. But William Shakespeare is awesome, an amazing poet and writer, and just really, and like when I talk about reading the Bible to get a good grasp of storyline and character development, also read any Shakespeare play. His characters are very well layered, and you find yourself empathizing with bad guy characters that otherwise deserve the struggles that they're going to go through. Reap what you sow, karma. But yet in the same hand, you're saying, why are you going through this? I don't want it to be this bad. So unless, like I said, you're a Jonah personalities want it to go bad. So one of the things that we notice when we talk about Shakespeare is that he layers his characters. The character Karen is layered. And one of her fears is not being liked, being alone, being isolated from the group. And so you see Panic Pixie Doll's creator and writer playing on that and really playing with us as an audience and getting us to feel sorry for her, that despite all the bad stuff that she's done, and she's really put herself in this position and burnt bridges, we still feel bad for her. And you can almost think of people in your own life who have done dirt and done you wrong, and yet when they get put in particular situations and circumstances, we find ourselves feeling sorry for them. Or even if we've done stuff that was wrong and bad and treated people in ways that we shouldn't, and then we get put in a situation where we don't have anyone around anymore. I've been there, and you can't even call a number anymore, right? Hello, thank you so much for Priceless joining, or Priceless, I should say, is _ priceless _ Thank you for joining. So whenever we get put into precarious situations and we don't have anyone to reach out to, or people are mad at us and cussing us out. Like I said, I've been there. I've been a high schooler. I've been in my 20s undergrad and just living life and doing silly stuff and burning bridges and getting cussed out for it and then going, why am I going through this? So if you can go back in time, no matter how short or how long ago, and imagine what that felt like, you put those emotions into the character. You can even have a bad guy character, does a whole lot of things wrong, and yet has to sleep with the nightlife. Extremely afraid of the dark. Well, what happens if you put them in a situation where there's a blackout? How do they respond? How do they react? And you play on that. You don't just go, oh, well, they were scared, and so they just sat there in the dark. Really exaggerate it. Like I said, silhouette, palette, exaggeration. Exaggerate it. Make them be frightened. Put enough light where we as the audience can see the silhouette of them maybe. And we can see that they're afraid and they're frightened. And, dialogue that let us know how frightened that they were. They were crying. They were emotional. They were screaming out. Maybe they live in a smart house, and now that the lights are off, the doors are like jammed tight, locked. They can't even get outside the house. This is the worst situation for someone that's afraid of the dark, but is a bad guy character. And yet you can get your audience to really empathize. You can play on their emotions because the audience is going to want them to get out of the house. They're going to want them to get help. They're going to want them to get to the light. And you just want to just toy with that more. So that's pretty much all that I have for today as far as how to get your audience to empathize with your bad guy character. It's something that definitely can be done. Like I said, there's different sources of materials that you can read. Like I said, the Bible, the different characters and character arcs and storylines and that you can read right there. William Shakespeare, grab a play. Any play will do. You will find that, Macbeth, Othello, William Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, The Merchant of Venice, any William Shakespeare play, you can just grab it and be able to follow along with the characters, Hamlet, and see the bad guy characters, and you'll find yourself probably empathizing with them, although they did it to themselves. I would also advise you guys to, study up on what character design is and find out, do you want a character that's an ogre and has more of an onion personality, or a character that's layered more like a parfait, like Donkey? And this time when you go back and look at Shrek, and yeah, I did put that out there on that level because who doesn't love Shrek? Unless you're a Jonah. But go back and watch Shrek and just really comb through it, like observe it and study it as if it's like a science project versus just watching it for entertainment, and see how did they develop Donkey as a parfait and in contrast to how they developed ogre as an onion. And you may be able to, merge those things together for your own character. And check out different storylines here on our Dollstagram, such as, like I said, the two with the Panic Pixie dolls. And I did get permission first, and with Doll Stories and Ash Harbor, check out her storyline. Check out various storylines to get an idea and a grasp of how you would want to tailor your own bad guy character. Not copying, but just seeing how they made use of getting us emotionally involved with the bad guy, the antagonist. So that's all that I have for you guys today. I love you guys. I hope you guys have an awesome and amazing Monday. And keep writing. And remember, anyone can write. I'll talk to you guys later. If you have any questions, you want further advice, check out my books on Amazon. I have an adult play therapy book, as well as other journals and character and storyline development journals to help you along your journey. So I will talk to you guys later. I do have a special guest coming also. Happy Monday to you. I have a special guest coming as well. We were going to have a live together this past Saturday, but I had to attend the, and really got the chance. I can't even just say had to. I got the opportunity and chance to attend the memorial service for the celebration of life for my childhood best friend's dad. And we weren't able to do the live on that day, but we're going to be having it at the end of this month. So I'm looking forward to you guys being able to join in with that as well. Look forward to that flyer as well, and the flyer for Penelope and Lawrence. They are going to get married, guys. We just want to make sure that we do it with everything being the right way. So you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.